My name is Rob Malicki and this video comes to you from San Diego, and I'm super lucky this week to be attending two conferences on digital marketing and social media. And of course these are two areas that are critical in terms of technologies for enabling student mobility. So in this next video I'm going to be sharing you some of the outcomes of this conference, the tips, the tools, the technologies and the tactics that you need to know that are going to help you send more of your students on overseas study experience. Let's get started. Now, when I think about social media, there are three things that I basically think about when I come to decide about whether or not I should implement a particular tactic or tool or apply some sort of theory that I've come across. And those three things are as follows. Firstly, will this thing that I'm going to implement actually save me time? Because if you want to implement a new tool and you want to get the most out of it, it needs to actually pay you back in terms of time so that you can actually have more time downstream to do other things. So number one, does it save you time? Number two, does it actually create a better experience for the person that you're trying to serve? So in this case, we're talking about our students and the students that we try to support on international study programs. Does implementing this new social media tool or technique actually improve their experience? And thirdly, I think, and absolutely critically, does this make our work more enjoyable? Because sure, it's fine to be an effective machine and sure, it's great to create an amazing experience for students, but what about ourselves? We also need to enjoy the tools and techniques that we use in doing our work. So those are the three things that I consider when I'm looking at any kind of social media initiative that we put into place. The next thing we need to say is that it's not about the technology. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that what we're talking about is creating authentic content, having people engage with that content, and what does that create? It actually creates a relationship. So it's not just about the technology that you're trying to use to improve the experience and save time and do whatever. It's actually about having authentic content and having authentic engagement, because that creates a relationship with the people that we're trying to serve. And once you have a relationship with the people you're trying to serve, it's much easier to serve them better. Now let's get on to some specifics. Let's start with the obvious one, which is Facebook and what's happening with Facebook. Now, the quantum shift that happens with Facebook happened back in January, and Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and co-founder of Facebook, released a blog post where he talked about changes that they were going to make to the all-important Facebook algorithm. The Facebook algorithm is basically the code that sits behind your newsfeed that decides what it's actually going to show to you. So this is a critical piece of technology. And what Zuckerberg came out with, and it's going to be no surprise to many people, is that they really wanted to prioritize authentic content that created real engagement in your newsfeed. Now, you know this, like, people are kind of a bit sick of Facebook because you get lots of advertising through it, and you get lots of viral videos and stuff like that. The changes to the algorithm have actually reduced the amount of time that people spend on Facebook by 50 million hours per day. So this is a huge change from Facebook. And why? Because they don't necessarily want people spending more time on site, they want people spending quality time on site, because that's where they're going to get better engagement and make their platform stickier. So how important is Facebook for us as student mobility practitioners? Well, I would contend that it's still a critical platform, and for many reasons. Firstly, it accounts for, between Facebook and Google, they account for 84% of all advertising spending in the USA and 25% of all advertising spending around the world. 25% of every single dollar that's spent on advertising in the entire world is spent on Facebook and Google. What does that mean? What that means is that these are incredibly powerful platforms because they're bringing in a lot of money, which allows them to do more. So Facebook is not going to become less important, it's going to become more important as its revenue continues to grow and it continues to dominate that advertising market share. What marketers, so we're talking business marketers in the USA, 67%, 2/3 of business marketers in the USA say that Facebook is their absolute number one priority when it comes to advertising. And why is that? It's because it's also the most engaging platform. And we've certainly seen that. For those of you who work with Facebook groups, we see that this is a very powerful way to bring people together and to start communities and conversation. Facebook wants to encourage this kind of engagement when you're on site, so they're going to be prioritizing that kind of content and that kind of messaging and in your newsfeed. So you're going to see a lot more of your groups appearing in your newsfeed because Facebook wants you sticking around and having those conversations. Let's talk about video now, because video obviously is one of those areas where we know we have to be doing better as student mobility practitioners. And the most important part of video right now is actually live video. Why? Because live video gets 6 times more watch time and far greater engagement than standard static videos. So even those kind of viral videos that get lots of likes and everything get less overall engagement than a really deep, good quality kind of video. So Facebook is prioritizing live video over all other forms of video, and they've actually actively said that time spent watching videos on Facebook will decline, but it depends on the type of video you're serving. So if you're not yet doing live video via Facebook, this is something that you really need to get into, because that's how you're going to actually reach students much, much better. A couple of the other things that Facebook have said. Firstly, we're talking about engagement. They want to deepen their engagement, the way people are connecting with each other. So they're going to be prioritizing long comments over short comments. So you know when you get feed and people just said congratulations or like, and you know, it's short comments, that is going to be less important in the Facebook algorithm than when people actually sit down and take the time to write a proper detailed response that they can then create a conversation. Facebook is trying to create these conversations. So anywhere where you can encourage long form comments is going to get you prioritized in Facebook, particularly if that's sitting inside a group. Lastly now, some of you may already be advertising on Facebook. Some of you might be thinking about advertising on Facebook. Facebook, as I said, the ad spend has increased a lot. And what you need to realize is that because of these changes Facebook have made, where they're trying to reduce the number of ads that they're showing to people, they're trying to increase engagement, and that's responding to the community who've basically said there's too much advertising on Facebook. This is a really classic supply and demand issue. You know, it's like 8th grade economics. Basically, the number of people who want to advertise on Facebook is like going like this, right? It's going crazy. And at the same time, the number of ads that they're showing is starting to decline. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that the cost of Facebook advertising is going to skyrocket. Now, Facebook advertising is something that takes a little bit of playing around with and getting used to. It's something that I've been working on basically for 10 years. So it's almost as soon as Facebook opened up advertising, we've been in there and working on it. And it takes a long time for you to kind of get your methods right and the way to work with it right. And the key thing that I would say to all of you, if you're thinking about going into Facebook advertising for the first time, is don't think about what you're trying to sell to the person, so the experience you're trying to sell to them. Think about what you can give to that person. Think about what is going to add value to their experience on Facebook, which is going to give them some value and actually help build your authority and the trust that that person has with you. That's the number one thing when it comes to Facebook advertising, is try to deliver value for the person that actually sees that ads. Don't just try and stick something in their face like this, because people hate that and Facebook is going to be deprioritizing it. And you won't get the results you want. It'll cost you a lot of money and you won't get the results. So always try to deliver good value through your advertising. Okay, let's look at the next part of Facebook's empire, and that's of course Instagram. Now, many of you will be on Snapchat, or will have at least heard of Snapchat. What's this Snapchat thing that basically the generation that we're trying to serve it went crazy over for a couple of years there? Snapchat was a platform where you could basically send instant messages to each other and they disappeared. They then released a really cool feature called Stories, where you could create stories about your life that would stay visible for 24 hours and then disappear. Facebook realized this very quickly and they moved very fast on it, and they actually put basically exactly the same functionality into Instagram. And for those of you who use Instagram, you'll know that it's a very addictive platform in the way that you can create a feed which basically can show like a visual representation of your life and is there as a permanent thing, as well as these like 24-hour duration stories. And the thing that was very clear at the conferences was that the use of stories is one of the most powerful ways that you can actually reach your audience, because it's something that creates a narrative that's an ongoing thing. So there's a psychological bias called availability bias. And essentially, the more that somebody sees you, the more they will place importance on you and the message that you have to give. So it builds trust. So essentially, stories is a really compelling way to build trust with your audience. And it doesn't have to be anything particularly complicated. People do stories about their morning cup of coffee, about their dog. If you're at university, you could literally create Instagram stories using your mobile phone inside your office, showing your students what it's like to work inside an international office, showing them around your campus, showing them what a meeting looks like. These are all compelling things when it comes to Instagram. And it's very easy to do, and Facebook is loving it, Instagram is loving it, and they're prioritizing that kind of content in their feeds. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is about Facebook Messenger. Now this is really cutting edge. At this stage, only 15% of marketers, so these are people who do marketing day in, day out in the USA, are actually using Facebook Messenger as an active channel in their marketing. But you can quote me on this. Facebook Messenger is going to be the most important marketing channel in the next 5 years. Why? Well, because when the phone rings, you're like, why is somebody calling me? I don't want to talk to you. Like, we want to do things in our own time. We are having our attention being dragged in so many different directions. One of the fascinating things from the conferences was that human attention is now down to 8 seconds. That's less than a goldfish, which has a 9-second attention span. Our attention is being dragged everywhere. And what we actually want is to be able to respond to things in our own time. And it's not that we want less human-to-human interaction. We want more meaningful human-to-human interaction. And that's where Facebook is great, because it allows you to have Messenger, allows you to have this conversation with people in their own time. Now, some people will be like, oh yeah, but chat, really? I'm gonna try to convince a student over chat to have an international study experience? Well, I would say, you already do that. It's called email. People are already engaging with you via email. Chat might be a little bit faster, it might be a little bit more short form, but Facebook Messenger has got the most amazing range of tools that you can use to serve information directly to the people that you want to serve it to. There's an entire methodology that goes along with this, and I'm more than happy to share those details with you. My email address is down the bottom here. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I can tell you about some of the really cutting edge cool stuff that's going on out there using chatbots. Now, maybe you've heard about chatbots, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've seen a chatbot on a website or on Facebook. At the moment, I reckon about 1% of universities around the world are even doing anything using Facebook Messenger. But the thing is, it is growing like crazy in the business-to-business space, in the business-to-consumer space, and we know through our own lives that chat is how we actually want to communicate with each other. So if you want to be ahead of the trend, Facebook Messenger is the absolute takeaway, and have a look at some of the chatbots. Drop me an email here and I'm more than happy to talk about that with you further. So that's it. What I would definitely say about technology and social media is that this is a very compelling way for you to firstly save time, because you can automate different parts of your workflow through social media. You can actually pull people into groups where they can talk with each other, and self-service, which is incredibly powerful. You can also improve your students' experience. So that's an amazing way for you to actually improve the experience they have with your program, which increases the likelihood that they'll become a raving fan and become one of those students that does your promotion for you. See point 1 above. Do your engagement well on social media, and you can create the raving fans who will save you time. And lastly, social media is fun. It makes our jobs awesome. One of the tools that I've just started using is a fantastic little video tool, which is super engaging, and I'm loving doing it because I get to have a conversation with the students that I serve, but it's something that's really time effective and a lot of fun to use. So make sure you're using social media to save yourself time, improve the student experience, and also to increase the enjoyment of your own work. And I hope this has been of value to you, and if you want more information, feel free to reach out to me on the details below. Thanks a lot.